Is there going to be a police officer here?
Near us. We get started in 5 seconds.
I appreciate that. Yeah, Dan.
All right, good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It is October 4th, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John,
Here.
Mrs. Cooper, here, Mr. Martin,
Here.
Mr. Capel,
Here.
Mr. Gross,
Here.
Mr. Neff,
Here.
Mr. Brumney.
Here.
7 present, we have quorum.
All right, this body met on September 20th, 2023, and there are minutes that need approved. Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Capel. Second by Mr. Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Abstain.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Brumney,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Gross.
Yes.
7 yeas or 6 yeas and an abstain.
All right, we are on the visitor section. We do have two scheduled visitor items and we'll get to unscheduled after that. But I would first like to hand it over to Councilwoman Cooper, also the chair of the Events and Commemoration Committee, to discuss our citizen recognition program.
Thank you. I would like to invite Dr. Mueller and his family up to the podium, please. I'm going to read you a little something that we've compiled here. Dr. and Mrs. Mueller moved their family to the Sunbury area in 1978 and quickly became involved in the community. Rosie began by volunteering as a Girl Scout troop leader, as well as a service unit leader and camp coordinator. Dr. Mueller also volunteered, organized, and recruiting physicians to provide pre-season physicals for players in youth and high school football programs and served as the team doctor for many years. Les and Rosie purchased land adjacent to their home and contained the former railway and trestle bridge section over the Big Walnut Creek. With the help of family, friends, and neighbors, completed the first walking bridge over the water in 1985 and maintained it for many years, going on to become what we know today as to be the Ohio to Erie Trail. Another contribution made by the Mueller family is the lifelike carving of the Johnny Appleseed located on the town square. Coach Raleigh DeLong commented that, quote, Les and Rosie were such a joy to have around, and what a great group of children they have. If I could do anything to make them feel appreciated, I would. Doc was the best. Carol Weiss, a neighbor of the Mueller family, commented, both Les and Rosie gave themselves to Sunbury to make it a better place through their gracious acts of kindness. So I would like to give, on behalf of the Events and Commemoration Committee and the entire City Council, this certificate of recognition to Les and the late Miss Rosie Mueller.
Exit stage right. It's rush. Maybe. You're a little bit before your time. Rush. Congratulations.
1, 2, 3.
Any council like to come in?
Me too. I can't. Bags like that.
Oh, jeez. You see everybody?
That's good.
Three. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to say thanks to the Events and Commemoration Committee for doing this. Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Mueller.
Thank you.
This is a really special thing that that committee's kicked off. I think it's very important to recognize those who are selfless and give service to themselves above all else. So thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
All right, we are on to the next visitor. Long awaited. We've been waiting for this emergency management update. We have the J.C. Weber, and before the meeting, she said, even though she has, I think, like 10 municipalities and a bunch of townships, we are number one in her heart. On record.
That looked like introduction. My name is J.C. Weber. I'm the emergency management specialist with the Delaware County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. We do, I do the office, I do a lot of the countywide planning for large emergencies and disasters, like our polar vortex type of weather we had last winter, tornadoes, dam inundations, all sorts of different hazards. And as part of that, we, every 5 years, we renew a plan that's called a multi-hazard mitigation plan with FEMA, who is our national level counterpart. And as part of that plan, all of our villages and municipalities are asked to sign resolutions on adopting the plan. So I'm going to go over the different parts of the plan. The last iteration of this plan was in 2019, and the city of Sunbury did adopt a resolution for this then. So this would be more of a renewal than a brand new thing for the city of Sunbury. Multi-hazard mitigation plans contains jurisdictional profiles of each municipality and village and the entire county.
Would you pull the mic over a little closer? Thank you.
Better?
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have to start over.
I can start over.
You're doing great.
Okay, so the jurisdictional profiles include the city of Sunbury. They're based on the 2020 census. We were lucky this time around that we have new census data most recently comparatively. It contains the planning process. The Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management for Delaware County was lucky enough to be paired with a group of regional planning graduate students from the Ohio State University this time around. They do it as a special 10-week project where they volunteer their time with us to help write this plan, which is incredibly beneficial from the office because our office is an office of 3 people and 3 of us working on this. Well, this plan generally takes about a year to write with about 8 to 10 graduate students. We got most of this plan completed in their 10-week semester. So they did a tremendous job. As part of the planning process, we have community stakeholders come into meetings and fill out different surveys about their community and about the hazards in the plan and rank them how they affected their community. So for the city of Sunbury, Fire Chief Stanbaugh participated, as well as Steve Piles participated from Sunbury in the surveys. The next section of this plan is that individual hazard identification and how those risks are assessed. So every hazard in the plan, we have 15 separate hazards, goes through a description of the hazard and how it affects Delaware County as a whole, and then our vulnerable populations to that and where those populations are located in the hazard in the county for that hazard. And then we move on this year. In addition, FEMA asked us to include climate change effects on each one of those individual hazards for our community. The next section of the plan is the hazard mitigation goals, objectives, and actions. These are all of the things that when adopting this plan, that we ask communities to consider including when they make projects going forward. It's in that section of the plan is it looks like a large Excel spreadsheet, and it describes each action, what it would be, and kind of who it would affect across Delaware County. Would it be our cities and villages? Would it be more of our outlying areas, that sort of thing? And all the adoption of this plan, we're asking that is that you consider adding those in. It's not we absolutely have to do all the things that were mentioned in the plan. That's not how it's written. It's that when you consider going forward, that you include these things. Recently, the city of Sunbury, last year, I wrote an addendum to the previous 2019 plan to include land subsidence. This land subsidence project addendum being included in the 2019 plan allowed the city of Sunbury to apply for multi-hazard mitigation dollars with FEMA in order to do the creek bank repair and stabilization at Walnut Street and McGill Street. So that funding dollars through FEMA came through this plan. As part of adopting this plan, it allows you access to that money. There are lots of FEMA dollars out there, and since COVID, we've had even more FEMA dollars here for different things. And adopting this plan allows your community access to apply to those grants, because usually a lot of FEMA dollars, the original stipulation is you have to have adopted your local multi-hazard mitigation plan. And this is the plan that they are talking about. In addition to land subsidence being new this year, we also have invasive species ores added as one of our new hazards this year. In the mitigation actions, there are 29 new mitigation actions that the city of Sunbury could use going forward to apply for grant dollars. There are 95 total actions in the plan. There's also an in-depth analysis of vulnerable populations using the FEMA National Risk Index for our socially vulnerable populations, which is new this year for the plan. It would have been different if any of you had read the previous plan. Now, I do understand that the plan in its entirety is over 2,000 pages. It's a lot of documentation. The base plan of that is about 300 pages of information. It's broken out into chapters. If you do have questions about that, please do let me know. I'm here tonight, or you have my email address and you can ask additional questions later. Bless you. But that is the base information about the plan. I hope that you at some point got to review that base plan. I understand that it's 2,000 pages. A good chunk of that is that it includes every piece of documentation from every stakeholder that filled out any form for us is included in that for a FEMA requirement. So there's every stakeholder from every community that reached out, and we had a good response this time around for the plan. So there's a lot of those in there that are probably not pertinent to everything besides the stakeholders from your own community.
Thank you. I will just say up in packet page 20, I have included the table of contents. If there's any particular section you want to get, I will be happy to pull that, get that to you. I could also get you the link of the entire document if you want it as well. I did include, I think, also the exhibits that are in the figures that are in the report as well. So again, if there's anything that jumps out at you that you specifically want to see, we'll be able to do that. So, all right. Great.
I just wanted to, JC, did you have anything else? Okay. I wanted to say thank you for coming. Sorry, I started with a joke, but I always do that, especially if I like the guests. So I wanted to say you are a small but mighty team. We very much appreciate you getting the subsidence addendum in there as well. That will be a big move for us. I think we've got that project slated in the near term. Does that sound right, Dan?
We started at 9.
Excellent. Great. So that's the type of work you do. I also wanted to call out your work on the 2024 solar eclipse. You're kind of the coordinator for the county on that. If you didn't know, we are going to have a full solar eclipse in 2024, and you can remind us of the date of that?
April 8th, 2024, the Delaware County is in the totality path for the solar eclipse, which means here in the city of Sunbury, it will be dark for just under 3 minutes in the middle of the day, right around 3 o'clock. I do have more exact times if that is something you're super interested in. Through NASA, who tracks these very specifically. But we've been planning as a county for operations of this and talking to our municipalities and other stakeholders for a little over a year now. With the idea being that we are slow rolling this plan as opposed to trying to get everything done before the event. So
You'll be able to make sure it's not overcast that day.
I am personally hoping that it is a beautiful day because I am very excited about this event and was put in charge of county planning for it, which means that I don't get to take the day off and go to Texas where the weather is guaranteed to be beautiful. So I will be at the county is opening their emergency operations center for that afternoon, just to make sure if there are additional resources or issues across the county, we are as prepared as possible to answer those with all of our emergency responders and any other problems that pop up. So I am guaranteed to be working that day, which is unfortunate for me. But for that 5 minutes, while the eclipse is getting into totality and a little bit after, I'm going to go stand out inside and watch because it's a once in a lifetime experience. The next time this will happen in Ohio is 2044. So this will be a good long time before we get another chance.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you. Take care. See you, Jess. All right, are there any unscheduled visitors that would like to speak with city council? Out of the 50 or 60 people, everybody showed up and has no comments? Okay, thank you. All right, we're on to committee reports. Mr. Tim Ghost.
I actually am going to defer to Mr. Grumney this evening for the Park and Rec report.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Ghost. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to share the meeting recap. Once again, Mr. Ghost ran a very, very well-run meeting, so thank you for that. Primarily, we talked about J.R. Smith Park and specifically about the splash pad. We had some feedback from a couple cities, including Delaware and Westerville, about their experience and their lessons learned, and certainly listened to them. And so I think as a committee, we've all agreed that we need to reduce the size of the splash pad. Due to overall cost and utilization, which makes sense. We talked thoroughly about the flow through system versus a recirculating system. And again, came to agreement that the flow through system seems to make the most sense for Sunbury, just due to the initial cost for a recirculating system, as well as the ongoing costs as far as maintenance, and personnel needed to keep a system like that moving. The flow through seems to make the most sense for our city. Of course, with a smaller footprint of the splash pad, we expect a lower than expected cost in the water usage if we're gonna have a smaller splash pad. Phase one is turned over to CT to start doing some cost estimates. To come back to us, I think probably in the next month or so, with the estimates to include phase one. We also talked about grant money and opportunities to help fund for the park using grant money. And phase two would include playground sets, and Tim provided in the packet some nice photos of potential playground equipment, different styles, and we had a brief conversation about that. And then regarding the Reservoir Park update. I think initially we did not get any bids for that project, but just as of yesterday, I believe we got 3 that came in and expressed interest in bidding on that project. So that was great to hear, and the hopes of having, or the need to have someone on ground by the 5th on site by the 15th of December is necessary to keep the funding, I believe, going. So that's the update. And if I missed anything, be happy if either Tim or Dave have anything to add if I missed it.
You covered it pretty well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Dave, could you add a little bit more?
just a couple of minor things. Good job, by the way.
Thanks.
With phase one, we're also going to include the pavilion and the perimeter path, along with the splash pad and the new parking lot asphalt. Phase two, probably late next year or the following year, would be the playground pickleball courts, basketball courts, and the entryways, the plaza areas. Oh, and those 3 bids, I think, Monday, we'll know the results of that on Monday.
So we are getting official bids from those 3 contractors. It's not just, they just said they're interested. They're submitting.
They are interested. I don't think that. I didn't promise they did, but a good indication.
Okay, good. Awesome. Great update.
Thanks.
Mr. Drumming, nice job.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else from any other committees? All right, Mr. Capper.
All right, so in our services meeting earlier tonight, we talked about service department staffing. So we have a pending vacancy in our supervisor position. We are looking at some previous contacts to hopefully make that vacancy as short a one as we possibly can. But also we're looking at potential seasonal labor going into the winter as a stopgap for staffing as we continue to look for full-time staffing in the department. 2023 street program, you've probably noticed it just driving around town, but the paving is due to be done on South Miller Drive tomorrow, I believe is what we said, tomorrow. And then that will bring us into the striping part of the 2023 street program. And this is the fun time of year where we have 2023 street program on the agenda right beside 2024 street program. So that is part of the discussion now as well. Mr. White had presented on a I would say on a data-oriented approach towards a street maintenance program going forward. I think it's a really good idea to, develop a methodology that we're using consistently to evaluate our roads, sticking to that methodology year by year so that we're working our way through all the road needs in the city. The actual OPWC application is due by November 4th, so we actually have a little bit of crunch time here. A few of us are going to meet in a couple weeks to review our options for that. There's a lot of ideas on the table, including potential safety ideas with a crosswalk at GRE, and what was the other one? The traffic calming, that's right. That potentially could score some points with the OPWC application. So more to come on that in our next meeting. Fall leaf collection program start. I know there's been some notice go out on social media about that. Starts in about 2 weeks. And then it's going to follow up with our second round of street sweeping for the fall. And that was about it. We do have October 30th as a demo date for the municipal building renovations that are starting. Additionally, we talked about Sunbury Estates trees and the traffic calming as well. Both have had some public interface with staff. We've had a survey in the traffic calming that everybody should have been copied on the results of that survey from. So more to come on both of those topics, but that is the extent of my review.
Great update, Mr. Capel and Mrs. Cooper.
Yes, I prefer Mr. Neff give our events review, but he was unable to make the meeting, so I will do it again. We discussed the Lions Club wanted to do a trunk or treat event, so look for that to be coming out. We talked about our holiday decorations. You may remember that we talked about getting some more holiday decorations on the square and kind of beefing that up a little bit to help with our small town feel, and everyone just enjoys it. So Amber was able to, I think it was you that did that research, right? Yeah, you missed it, Mary. It was awesome. So we're going to take really, I think, a smart approach, which is pretty much like what you would do at your home, which is just add a little bit every year. So we're going to add, I think it was what was on the tree?
There's going to be silver garland on the tree.
Garland on the tree.
And then there'll be wreaths in the windows of town hall, and then lighted garland on the poles, the light poles around town hall.
It looked really pretty. It's going to look
Very
very nice.
attractive decoration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna look great. Yeah. And then along with the Christmas talk, Mrs. Crawford was here representing the Chamber of Commerce, and she discussed the Christmas on the Square. which is also in our new business. So with your permission, I thought maybe I would just go into the Christmas on the Square and we'll just knock that out right now. So it will be, they requested what they normally do. So it would be, we'd have some road closures. Really, it would only be for the parade. So we're talking just short-term road closures from Bird down Cherry, then around the square, just for the parade. And then they'll open it back up. They plan to still have the horse-drawn carriage, but they're going to do that with the roads open. So because it is a road closure, according to our events matrix, that gets bumped up to a council decision. So the events committee was fine with that. That's in our new business. And so I would like to go ahead and make a motion, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor.
Just even though the roads will be open, the parking will be eliminated on Columbus Street and on Granville Street.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
So I would like to make a motion that we close the roads down from Bird to Cherry and around the square temporarily during the parade.
And I'd second that.
Thank you.
So is this an approval of just the street closure or an approval of the parade? Or both?
Whatever we need, I guess. Do we need both?
What's the decision
Mr.
matrix? I just want to make sure we're clear. on
Yeah,
that.
so the matrix says we'll bring parades and closures, but it's really about the street closure. I mean, the parade happening on there. So if you want to approve both, technically, if I say it's the parade and the street closures,
Okay, I'll amend
that's
mine
great,
then.
but
My
yeah,
motions.
primarily here because of the street closure issue.
Thank you.
But also the use of the square for Christmas on the Square.
All right, so we've got a three-part motion here.
Yeah.
I want to
Everything-
take really clear notes.
Mrs. Crawford means.
All right. Do we have a second on that?
Mr. Martin.
I will second that, yeah.
All right. Is there discussion? All right, I did have a discussion point.
Not anymore.
All right, it has to do with candy in the parade. And
You can take that up
I've
with the
heard,
chamber.
I can take it up with the chamber, but I'm going to take it up with council too. I've been told again that this is going to be where we don't have candy in the parade. I just remember the sad looks from all the kids' faces last Christmas parade when we were all riding on the float and they're like, hey, and they had their bags and we just stared at them and said, hello. Look at all our street paving program we have going on next year. So my question is this, if I walk in the parade, can I throw candy? Or is this a no candy parade?
Well, I mean, the way that we've set this up is, again, we've got best practices that we provide to the event organizer. The event organizer makes the determination about that issue. And so I know last year, the guidance of the event organizer was no candy. I don't know if that's where the chamber is again this year or not.
It is, and that's because the parade is happening at night and it's darker and harder for people to see. So she doesn't want the risk of kids being, kids will run out into the street to grab the candy. I think the risk is bigger than the reward here.
And there'll be a great opportunity after the parade to wander around the square and hand out candy to kids and stuff like that. Because the event takes up the whole square and Santa Claus and Saint Nicholas spend a lot of time moseying around. So if you're really wanting to give away candy bars with your picture on the wrapper, you could do it after the parade.
Can you pull that down and say that all again, please?
I can't repeat.
I'm just going to say this one time. I've said it before multiple times in different settings. Tradition, to me personally, is very important. I also understand that we need to adapt to the times, okay? But I think we need to maybe, as city council or the events committee, take a little bit of a stronger look at, okay, we're going to approve a parade, but then the parade organizer makes all the rules. I think we need to have a little bit of say in that. So I'm not going to be a no vote. I'm a yes vote. And sorry, I'm making a big deal about this, but I don't like sad kids. Thank you.
For what it's worth, I agree.
Thank you.
I think that's something we should have a little bit of oversight with.
Okay, thank you. Right.
And I agree with you. If they're going to have a request to be able to do such and so, they need to bring it to us if it's something that is out of the ordinary or something that we consider is not safe. We still have liability if we've approved them using our streets and our square for an event. So I agree with you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
So is the way it's written now, Mr. Hennessy, is that here's our best practices, and if they want to go stricter, they can. That's the way it's written now. Okay, so
Yeah, I mean,
then maybe that needs to be
Yeah.
adjusted. And
Just
I,
up for discussion is all.
yeah, and listen, I have had the same comment, like, I don't agree either. It's not, according to what this was, it wasn't my call, so
I understand.
this can go, we still have some time. This doesn't have to be an end all be all with this. For this, we'll just do the road closures and the Christmas on the Square. We can move this conversation offline and talk with the chamber about it, because I don't disagree with you. I just,
Thank you. Yeah,
it's the first time.
Yeah, it is the first time, but yeah, you're right. I'm just open for discussion. We all have a voice, so.
Yeah, there is one thing that they are changing, is that they are making it a requirement that the floats have music. Or if they don't have a music source, then that you sing Christmas carols. So that'll be.
So council float has to have a radio.
I thought Mr. You were there.
Mr. Murray's singing, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Our own Frank Sinatra here. on
Okay.
council.
It's like a good example of where like the parade rules and things. go.
Step in.
Maybe just one step too far.
And this is the one meeting she's not at.
Right?
No, this is good discussion. All right, any other discussion? I think we're ready for a roll call. Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes,
Mr. Ghost,
Yes,
Mr. Crumple.
Yes.
7 yeas.
all right, thank you.
I still have I have a planning and zoning real quick. We had a public hearing regarding the light industrial new zoning district. That passed the planning and zoning commission unanimously. And then we also had an informal presentation about an Eagle Creek extension. It would just be south of the Eagle Creek that's already there. And they really want to make it like one whole community. And it was neat. They had some different amenities that we've not seen before, a small splash pad.
So about half-mile walking loop.
Yeah, they had a big
Outside
open
dog
space.
park.
They had a dog park, yeah, they had a big open space, but they had amenities in the open space and they had a loop around it. And he said it was almost I don't remember. It was-
Over a half mile.
Yeah, it was cool.
Plenty of multi-use trails connecting north, south, east, west.
Yeah,
It's
a
true.
big neighborhood is what they were trying to do.
Yeah, and Eagle Creek had a lot more what I would call like passive recreation. This one has active recreation, including a splash pad, and the dog parks were nice. I mean, it had the legit, large dog park next to a small dog park. It's pretty nice.
That's it for me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Martin.
I'm good, thanks.
All right.
Nothing to report.
All right, I just wanted to amplify Mrs. Cooper's point about the Planning and Zoning Commission. We had I think it was a really well-led meeting, primarily by CT and Elisa Duffy Rogers. And there was a lot of great dialogue by the Planning and Zoning Commission, so much so that there were a couple on the fly request changes that were approved, I think all for the better. They will come to City Council for a public hearing on November 1st. November 1st. And I'm really looking forward to having you see that new limited industrial district zoning code. A lot of great work by Vic and Daryl, Wes Hall, Dan weighed in, obviously Elisa, and I know I'm missing others, but great feedback overall by the Planning and Zoning Commission. With that said, I think we're on to the police report. We do have Mr. Ramirez here this evening. Would you mind coming up and reading the police report for us, please?
That was expressed to me. You have a copy of it.
What if we read it and you just stand up there?
That's perfect.
I'll give a couple updates. I do have one question for you that can come up earlier. Drone update, you're one of our 4 pilots that is now certified, is that correct?
Yes, sir. There's 3 of us that have passed the 1 to 7 test. And then Maya will be taking it later this week or beginning of next week. Officer Belcher, and what passes, everybody will be certified and we'll be continue along with getting the program started.
That's great. How are you liking the program so far?
It's a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot of work, a lot of study. So, but we're getting there, moving in the right direction, so.
If I'm not mistaken, I think we may be going live with the program, I mean, towards the end of this
Towards
year.
the end of the month, yeah.
Yeah, maybe for Halloween,
That's
potentially.
that's our goal. That's what we're shooting for. So we have, I believe the 19th, we're sending to the pilots to a training class. And after they get done, they're gonna come back and refresh the other two. I'll be on vacation, so we're gonna attend. So, but it's coming. Hopefully we're operational by the end of October.
Excellent, thank you. Cool. All right, moving to the temporary location, you had heard this a little bit earlier. You'll probably hear a little bit more from Mr. Hennessy and his update. This is going to be very disruptive for our staff. I have to be completely honest. I don't know if you're going to hear that from the leadership teams, but I have to say it's going to be pretty disruptive. I mean, it's a big bang move that's going to last about 6 or 7 months, so or longer. So a lot of changes. I think the team's been extremely adaptable. Obviously, the police are very excited to get into the new building, so they're almost taking the lead in terms of, hey, we'll be out first to allow us to move around. It's a very exciting time, and I want to thank council for all of your support on this great vision by this body. You agree, Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, we did have the Cream the Cruiser event, great success. I think we filled up a Silverado and the UTV this
Nice.
past weekend, so that was awesome. I think that was on Saturday.
Yeah, I believe it's just over 100 and like right around $120 was donated also. It was awesome. So
It's great. We live in a great place, that's for sure. Then this morning, coffee with the cop at the Inn at Walnut Trail. I got a debrief. I think we had several folks there for multiple hours talking
Yeah.
with the residents.
I was not aware. I knew that the event was going on, but I don't have a debrief on it or anything like that.
I heard it went really good. Actually, that's why I heard why the chief and deputy chief aren't here, because they spent a bunch of hours this morning meeting there. And then the medical benefit, I didn't know if you had any information. I wanted to give my perspective. I attended the event. It was excellent. The medical event for Matt Bowman, hosted by the Sunbury Eagles. I can't tell you enough how many people showed up and businesses showed up with donations. There was a live auction. It was a lot of fun, and it was just a great event. You know how it turned out, I mean, financially, or we'll have to connect with them.
I haven't talked to Matt since the event, so I'm not sure exactly how much it raised or the fine details.
It's a pretty cool event. Yeah. Then Faith and Blue Blood Drive held this Friday at Sunbury Methodist Church. Distracted driving event Thursday, October 5th, 10 a.m. Governor DeWine will be there as the key speaker. Again, the new law, I believe, just went into effect. The distracted driver law and the mobile device law. I think it's been in effect for a little while, but there was kind of a probationary period, if you will, where
There's a 6 months probation period where it's all warnings.
yes.
Once that probation period, we'll start completing citations for it.
Thank you, sir. All right, and I think that's all we have. What questions do you have? Let's go around the horn. Everybody come up with one or two. Mr. Ramirez.
Where is Governor DeWine speaking?
I don't know the answer to that.
I'll be refer that question to the mayor.
I'll find out. Any other comments? Questions? Thank you so much, Mr. Ramirez.
Thank you.
You're the best. All right, we're on to the administrative report. Mr. Hennessy.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't going to add a whole lot to my report because we've talked about it, I think, in all of the committees. So if people have questions about the facility renovations, I'd be happy to answer it. I think maybe there are only 2 people in here who haven't heard the schedule, the high-level schedule. Police Department vacating the basement the week of October 16th. Administrative staff moving down into the basement of the municipal building the following week, the 23rd. Contractor, again, demolition beginning at both the municipal building and the Newman's building, the old Newman building, the police department building on October 30th. So police department will set up a temporary facility down at the Round Top building. And so we're working through all the details on that. But yeah, it will definitely be disruptive. People, staff are beginning to pack, but I think most people are excited about where we'll be in 6 to 7 months.
Excellent. Any questions for Mr. Hennessy? No, sir. All right, we are on to the engineer's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll echo Mr. Hennessy's comment that you've gone over a lot of my stuff, so thank you. I'll skip most of the first section of my report here. We talked about the parks and the Walnut Street traffic calming. We mentioned that we are moving forward to a concept phase, so we'll bring that before our traffic working group and then move into to engineering on that and possibly include it in the street program. Mr. Keederly is working on the bridge aesthetics for the Sunbury Parkway and should have that presented to staff relatively soon, so we can get that to ODOT and get it approved on their programmatic. We also presented Mr. Hennessy with a strategic plan for GIS program last week and look forward to setting up a meeting to discuss that and dive a little deeper into it and start enhancing that program for all it's worth. We did talk about the street improvement program. I won't belabor that. I'll get into the development projects. The Granville Street multifamily apartment project. I've gotten 2 submittals now, and the third one should be back. We've pretty much got that wrapped up, but there are a few outstanding issues, including trail connections, and Mr. Ghost has been very good at helping me keep up on that and keep their toes to the fire. The Kinder Crossing project is there's a new developer and contemplating taking that project on and making some minor changes to it. Not quite sure yet whether that will rise to the level of having to come back to commission and council, but we'll evaluate that, and I'll work with Mr. Hennessy on that as well, and Alex. And we did get a submittal for the bank project at the Kroger Center. I'm not sure it is quite ready for public consumption yet, but will be soon. And we had a total of 13 right-of-way permits submitted this month, and all is well.
You could definitely reference this.
Oh, I'm sorry. At the last council meeting, the mayor asked me to put together an exhibit that shows the project areas that I'm talking about. And so we did. And we tried and I think we've included nearly everything on there. If there's something we're missing, let me know. My old eyes have a hard time reading some of this text, so I think I'll get the text increased a little bit, but I think he did a pretty good job of outlining it so you can see where the projects are located, spanning all the way from west to east. If any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer them.
Really nice job.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You guys like exhibits like this?
absolutely.
Very helpful.
If I get one, I like it.
That was intentional.
You find something wrong with it, Mr. Martin, so I didn't make sure you didn't get it.
Find an error.
Don't look for misspellings. All right. Good job, Mr. White. Thank you. Anything else? Any questions for Mr. White? All right, thank you. All right, we are on to resolutions. Third reading, resolution number 2023.23, a resolution accepting the Second Amendment certificate of estimated resources for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2023, and certifying them to the county auditor. I'd like to make a motion.
I'll second.
We've got a second by Councilwoman Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes,
and Mr. Keppel.
Yes.
7 yeas.
All right, there are no second readings. We have a first reading, resolution number 2023.25, a resolution approving the adoption of the 2023 Delaware County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan. Mr. Hennessy, what is your expectation on action this evening?
Yeah, so just looking to introduce this tonight, and obviously get a little bit of an overview from the EMA staff. So I'm not looking for action this evening. Like I said, I do have the table of contents and the exhibits identified. So if you want to see those, let me know. I'll get those to you between now and the next meeting. And if we're ready at that point, I think we could act.
You know, the full document is too big to forward because JC's email to me from a month ago that said, can you forward this on? It's still in my outbox. Trying to move. I've read the first 14 pages. There you go. I should be done in by the next one that you do.
For the next solar eclipse.
Yeah. 2044. All right. Anything else you want to add, JC? What's your expectation of council? Just that we're generally aware, generally supportive, and we pass the resolution?
So if you were to pass the resolution and then the actions that could pertain to the city of Sunbury, we ask that you would declare those for your plans going forward. So one of those is the Great and Big stabilization project is one of the mitigation actions in there. There are other science actions. Some of them are as generalized as, help increase public education about science in their area. We do that through social media. I know the SDNG Fire Department shares those posts and those things out towards that plans action. So when we're going to do this in 5 years, we can take the actions back and say, hey, look, our municipalities and villages and counties have acted on our plan in some regard. So anything that if you look through that section of the plan, you get a chance to read that, more comments to look at it, see if there's anything that would pertain to you, and if it's something that saves some better extra funding for, there is some aviation funds that come out a couple of times a year. On that could be an option for additional projects like project.
Okay. So maybe before we take action, if Amber or Daryl, if you can work with JC just to isolate those recommended action items. Because it sounds like they would like us to do that. It probably helps if we do, but it's probably better that we're all aware of what we're tracking towards. We can have that for next meeting and potentially we'll pass it then. All right, thank you. Thank you for being here this evening. All right, we are on to ordinances, no third readings, no second readings, no first readings, new and unfinished business. We are on the scheduled new and unfinished business, and we have independent public accountant. I believe we have Dana Steffen here this evening. We can speak to this if you'd like. Thank you for being here, Director.
Thank you. Yes, we have submitted a request for, via the Auditor of State, a request for a 10-year audit contract with an IPA, which is an independent public accounting firm. And this is typical for smaller cities and villages. So we have selected, or I guess mutually agreed upon, Perry and Associates CPAs to be our independent public accountant for the next 10-year audit period. And so we have an agreement here that the Auditor of State put together for us that needs to be signed and entered into the agreement formally. So that's what we have on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you. Any other context? Mr. Hennessy or anyone else? You're looking for action tonight?
Yes, they are looking for the agreement to be returned. Perry and Associates is. So if you could take action on this tonight, I do have the form here, the agreement to be signed.
Is 10 years typical? That seems like a really long time, but.
I believe it is typical.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, 10 years seems like long service
Yeah,
agreement.
right. And do we have like an option to like opt out if we're not happy with their services, or is it kind of we're for 10 years we're hooked to Perry and Associates?
I imagine there would be some, we could have some recourse if we had the right, or if we had reason to get out of the agreement, but I would have to look into that to confirm.
Just curious, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
We're in the where does it say 10 years in here? I'm not looking at, I'm sorry, I'm on page 34 and 35. I'm seeing
Yeah, it's here.
right here. Where is the 10 year period?
January. Wait,
That's that's
not 10 years.
Maybe it's not 10 years.
Yeah, that's the
January 1st, 22 through 27. Okay, so that's 5 years. 6 years.
So the audit period is from,
Yeah. For 3 audit periods, so 6 years. Sorry about that.
no problem. I think, John, we've addressed your concerns.
Is that quick enough, Mr. Romney?
Yeah, we already dropped 40. Yeah, that's good. It just seemed a long time. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? That's a good one, John.
If you need a motion to approve this agreement. I'm willing to make that
We
motion.
got a motion by Mr. Martin,
Second.
second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. 7 yeas.
Thank you, Director of Finance. You're welcome. We're on to Construction Administration and Inspection Services, Facilities Renovation Project, so on and so forth.
So I've mentioned this a couple of times, now as we get ready to enter the renovation stage of the facilities project, the architect has done their job at this point, and we engage somebody to help with the contract administration and inspection services to make sure that it's being built as designed. And so what I've done is I did reach out to 3 different parties to get a bid to provide construction and inspection services. I do have 3 proposals, and the one that I have in front of you is DLZ. That's the same firm that's doing the inspection services on our road project. So that's the first time we have used them in that capacity. They have the lowest price per hour price in terms of the service itself at $120 per hour for the time that their inspector would be, or their construction administrator would be here. The bid has them on site 24 hours a week, so 3 days each week, basically monitoring the work of the contractor and then also working with staff and the architect on any what they call requests for information or any kind of modifications that might need to be made with respect to the design. So they facilitate that when the contractor says, I can't get that product, it's spec'd for the building. I think this is an alternate. They're the ones that kind of help facilitate. Is it truly an alternate? Does it change the design? If it changes the design, they work with the architect on basically making sure that we don't have compromise the integrity of the design. So they help provide those types of services for us. DLZ offers up a registered architect to basically perform that service for us. Actually, all 3 of the bids had a registered architect as the lead participant. So the prices range from $120 per hour to $220 per hour. And like I said, DLZ's is the lowest price. So, if council is comfortable, I'd like to ask that you authorize us to enter into agreement with DLZ to provide those services for the duration of the construction project, for the renovation project.
Questions for Mr. Hennessy?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Capel. Got a second by the Humor. Second. Second by Murray Neff.
We know about it.
What's that?
So there may be something.
Roll call.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Martin,
Yes.
7 yeas.
Thank you, team. All right, we're on the road closures, Christmas on the Square, which we've already addressed. And we have the staff Christmas party. And would you like me to take the lead on this?
You take the lead on it.
I want to say we have some very exciting news for staff. This may be the first. Officer Ramirez should probably tune in for this. Our Christmas party has grown and honestly in a good way. I love it. I don't want to lose the feel to our Christmas party, but I do think for not a whole lot more money, we can get a whole lot better experience. I think something that our team and families can remember. So I wanted to announce, and I've known for about 6 months now, working with Amber on this, that we are going to have our Christmas party at Top Golf.
Oh, wow.
Top Golf.
Good idea.
We've been there, employers.
Yes, we are.
It's cool.
Catered. It's going to be an exciting night and it'll be a lot of fun.
That'd be fun.
Fantastic.
Merry
Do you have a
Christmas
date?
to all of us.
Do you have a date on that yet?
December
Do I have to bring my golf clubs?
They'll provide all of that for you.
know,
Maybe not.
Wow.
It's your appetite.
December 13th.
12,
What
13.
is it?
I have the invitations right here. I'll pass them out. I was just
Oh, it's a
waiting.
Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
The big reveal.
Thank you.
Big
Amber.
old.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
But thanks for all your work on this as well.
Thank you.
All right. All right, I think we're on to unscheduled, new and unfinished business, and let's start with Murray now.
Nothing to report. Only want to say I've been working full-time for the Board of Elections, getting ready for the November election. And early voting starts a week from today.
Okay.
At the Board of Elections office at the early vote center there. And if you're not registered to vote, which we all are, we have to be. But if you're not registered to vote, you can register through next Tuesday. Registration closes Tuesday at 5 p.m. and early voting starts Wednesday morning. So
Okay, good information.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, and thanks for doing that service.
you know,
Yeah.
I'll never understand why people get up every day and go to work. I just, man. I really enjoy retirement.
You've done your time. All right, Mrs. Cooper.
Yeah, I just want to say happy birthday to our council president. I've talked to him multiple times today. I've seen him multiple times and I've not said it. So on the record, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Tim.
That's all.
Thank you.
39 going on. Another 39.
How old?
I'm under 60. That's all. I'm under 60. It's good.
I see you out there. I see you walking around all over the place. Mr. Capel?
I don't have anything.
All right, Mr. Brumley?
Happy birthday, sir.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Gross?
Appreciate it. Can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be. Among friends.
In Italy and Spain.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
2016, I was over there, yeah, at this time. But yeah, I do have something here. We had a working session with the fire department last week, I believe, talking about the planning, design, and construction of the western substation, which is going to be adjacent to Camping World to the north. So that's just getting underway, doing some planning there. The other item we talked about was potentially moving the headquarters out there, since it's going to be a nice new larger building. But I mean, historic, actually next week, next Thursday, we're going to have an official vote on that. So I just wanted to present some things to you tonight about that. But historically, it's always been where it is now, 50 plus years, if I'm not mistaken. It's centrally located. You know, we're going to have a future fire station out east at some point as well, after we construct this one out west. So it makes sense to me that this current station here remain as the headquarters. Expansion is still possible at this station. We can go vertical if we have to. We can always hold meetings if we need to have a bigger meeting at the next, you know, the western station. It'll be easily accessible. And you can always in the future move the headquarters either east or west. In my opinion, I don't think we need to be doing that now. And I know I can't speak for the other departments, the other townships, but I sense that the feeling is the same, at least 2 out of the other 3. So I'm prepared to vote to keep the headquarters where it is now next week. Mr. Mayor might have some.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit, but I think what I would like to do, and this is not common, because our board structure, first of all, is not common. You know, Berkshire, Sunbury, Trenton, Galena, 4-person board. You know, 2 municipalities, 2 townships. It's worked. I think the board works, but I do think it's important at the end of this discussion that we probably do a motion of support to, you know, back Tim in this, because there has been discussion both by BSTNG leadership and with the townships. And it's gotten to the point where township leadership is reaching out to me. And, you know, they may not be on the board, but it's, you know, like the president like chairperson of the trustees from various townships. And to Tim's point, you know, I think there's again, a tradition aspect to it. I think there's also the pure geographic side of it. And, you know, if you're putting the headquarters in the far northwest quadrant of the entire district, you know, what does that say? I think it's important to have leadership centrally located. And if you look at the heat map from the fire calls, when the fire chief covers this with us, you know, it's in two areas. One, the primary areas in and around Sunbury, and the other one is by the freeway. So great job being tactical and where that location is going to be. But I definitely still think that new location is a satellite and this is the hub. And I think it being in Sunbury, I think it would be hard for us to say, yeah, we support moving the headquarters out of Sunbury. So with that said, are there any comments or questions on that?
There's a completion date for the one out west. Is there a?
Well, you know, we have to decide how we're going to fund it. Most likely a ballot measure in May.
Okay.
Could be bonded. So that's the other thing we have to continue discussions with and make a decision on. So, you know, if something's on the ballot in May, it has to go to the voters either way.
Right.
However we decide to fund it. Assuming it's approved, you know, maybe construction starts end of next year in the fall.
Gotcha.
Maybe 2025, late 2025, it's open.
Okay.
But they're working on design now, or they're not waiting until.
No, we're working on it now.
Right.
We're trying to get everything in place so we can present it to the voters in May.
All right. So I'd like to make a motion to keep the BSTNG headquarters at its current location. Second by Mr. Ghost.
Was just during discussion, was there discussion at the fire board to make that the main one?
Yes, primarily coming from the chief.
Okay.
I think he would prefer to have the main headquarters moved out west to the substation that has yet to be built.
And I have been kept up to date on this, talking to Tim. It's really just come to a head when they need to make a decision now. And I'd voiced what I felt like the collective opinion of the Sunbury voters and Sunbury Council was, and that is to maintain the headquarters here. And I've been voicing that for months, but I just felt like the meeting before Tim goes in there and is our vote on their board, I feel like it's important to give him that backing.
Is there a significant space challenge here? Like, do they really need to move out because of a lack of space?
I would say no. I would not say any major problem with that. In the future, there likely will be. But again, there's still opportunity to expand that station vertically if need be.
So what is the chief? Why does he want it to move the main headquarters out west?
I haven't talked directly with the chief. You can feel free. I've heard what I've heard, but I don't want to share.
I think from a staffing point of view and a training point of view, and when he has training sessions and things like that, there's a bigger area, a bigger room, more smart features will be available, those sorts of things, technology. That's his primary argument for the most part. I can't speak for him, but as I recall, that was one of the big points.
When is this vote happening?
I believe it's next Thursday, a week from tomorrow at our regular meeting, regular monthly fire board meeting.
Is any of this related to the impact of the new high school traffic? That going past the number of cars that are blocking that driveway into that place.
Yeah, that is
mornings and all that kind of stuff. I just wondered if any of that.
It is a concern. We need
by that.
That's on our agenda to figure out a way to mitigate that.
Right.
Because they do get stuck, you know, on occasion when they have a call, if it's during school time where the traffic's stopped right in front of their driveway, even though they have a sign up, not to, you know, block the driveway. it mostly does not get paid attention to, so they're stuck waiting for the cars to part. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen.
It's a situation. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be addressed, and so we can get a relief valve of traffic flow to the north. That'll help a lot. So.
I just don't think that moving the headquarters, like headquarters being a name and where leadership is going to domicile. I don't think that's not going to address traffic like what you mentioned, but it is a valid question. I mean, what do we do to make sure they have good ingress, egress, but
Would having the satellite out west prohibit them from still doing everything they want to do out west?
that's a good point. And could they still hold training classes at the new building?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's been, I think, brought up.
Okay, so what he, well, I wish I would have had a chance to talk to the chief before I have to vote on this. But what sounds like what he wants to happen in general can still happen. It would just be at a satellite location instead of a headquarters. We're talking about a name here, from what I'm understanding.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And they're still not saying you can't do it at a different date later down the road.
Sure, we could always vote some other future date to move the headquarters.
Would it have to change the construction if the headquarters is gonna be there, or is it still gonna?
Not necessarily. I think we're gonna tell the architect to plan for the future, make it as big as we possibly can, and assuming we can afford it, taxpayers. We want to have enough meeting space and office space to service that area.
Any other comments or questions?
And again, I'm pretty certain that 2 out of the other 3 municipalities are in favor of keeping it here as well. And we need a majority vote. You need 3-1 to pass it anyway.
Right.
So I don't.
Is the board like that, the way it's set up? Is that typical in other fire districts?
I would say no.
Interesting. Okay.
We're kind of unique.
That's what it sounded like when you were talking, so. Okay.
Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Rumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. 7 yeas.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Gibbs.
thank you.
Any other new or unfinished business?
No, sir.
All right, great update. I had the chance to attend one Delaware meeting today. One Columbus was the speaker, Matt McAllister, talked a lot about their pipeline, their cycle of how they bring programs in or projects, developments in, how they get sourced to the various counties. What's changed in the landscape in terms of development over the past couple of years. And we've got a lot of exciting things on the horizon, specifically two things that I would call out. One is anybody in like the battery segment, like parts and equipment for Honda batteries in particular. You know, there's that large battery cell manufacturing operation going south. I forget the town. Dan, you know it. You guys are working on it. What's that town called?
I can't, sorry.
Fairfield County. Fairfield.
Lancaster.
Yeah, that's in Fayette County.
Fayette County, that's right. Thank you. Fayette County, but what I learned today is that's actually going to be where the Honda battery cells are created. But what all hasn't gotten a lot of attention is the Honda plant in Marysville is going through a $700 million expansion retrofitting, where they're taking transmission assembly and turning it into battery manufacturing components. So taking those cells and then turning it into the batteries that go inside of cars. And then also we talked a lot about Intel suppliers. And you know, Japan is the heaviest supplier of Intel products to actually produce the chips. And there's several Japanese and South Korean companies that are looking in Central Ohio, particularly to be close to Intel. What we also found out is, and this has been reported in the news, but I think we've been a little bit blinded by the Intel effect. Micron, a competitor of Intel, is building $100 billion chip manufacturing plant in the state of New York. About a year and a half behind the Intel site, $20 billion, largest private investment in Ohio history. And there's going to be a lot of suppliers along kind of this daisy chain in and around this area that are going to want to plant roots and be suppliers to both. So I wanted to call that out. There you go.
Oh, no, the mall.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Dan. All right, so I had an election signs, just they're everywhere right now. Reach out to Alex if you have questions.
If I happen to accidentally be in violation, let me know immediately.
We will let you know.
Same.
Your sign out there.
All right, that's all I had. I think we're wrapping up business. Anything from staff, council, final call, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
You got a motion to adjourn by Dave Martin,
Second.
second by Tim Ghost on his birthday. So you, hey.
Affirmative.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
7 yeas, we are adjourned.
Thank you.